Everyone seems to hate on the RTX 5060, but we think we found something you guys will hate more.
The RTX 5050. In today's video, we're going to benchmark it versus the 5060 to see if you're saving $30, are you actually getting good value? We'll talk about that after word from today's sponsor. Listen, building a gaming PC is only part of the process. Once you finish planning your perfect gaming PC build to get the best price performance, you need to make sure to install and activate Windows 11 with today's video sponsor, GVG Mall. Use our link in the description down below to find the Windows 11 key. Use code TB20 on checkout to save even more money, upping your price to performance game. Then you'll get a copy of the key sent straight to you. Take that key, throw it into a Windows 11 PC of your choice during the install process or after the install is done, and boom, you now have an activated Windows 11 with access of all the features it has to offer. Use our link down below and use code TB20 on checkout and you'll save some money on your Windows activation. Big thanks again to GVG Mall for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the video, shall we?
So here we have two graphics cards that we're going to be really putting through a lot of tests. We got the RTX 5050 and of course the 5060. These are both NVIDIA's latest budget offerings. Now this 5050 is a 3-fan model. Both of these cards are actually pretty good looking cards. I never even thought I'd see a 3-fan, like the most entry level. This is like the 1050 Ti of today, but it's like massive. But 8 gigs of VRAM, 8 gigs of VRAM, and the price difference is not as much as you would think.
So yeah, $269 for this Gigabyte 5050, which the MSRP for the 5050 is $250, which we might see some models that are 2-fan cards around that price point, but the 5060, especially this Prime model, you can get for $300. We're talking about a $30 difference between these two GPUs, and you would think on paper that with the 5050 being as cut down as it is, that the 5060 would be a much better value, and it's funny because both of these cards are cards that no one really seems to like, but it will make the 5060 look a bit better. Let's talk about the key specs of the 5050, and we're going to see what the performance gap is like for that $30 difference, if saving money is worth going for the 5050, or should you stick with the 5060, or should you buy something else? You'll probably are going to buy something else anyways, but either way, let's talk about the key specs of the 5050 you should know, and then the test bench we're going to test these two GPUs in.
So here's the key specs starting off with the RTX 5050. It is a 5nm GPU design. It has 2560 shader units, 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM, it's PCIe Gen 5x8, and the total power draw can be upwards of 130 watts, and they only suggest a 300 watt power supply with just one 8-pin.
And for the RTX 5060, we have 3,840 shader units with 8 gigabytes of GDDR7 VRAM. This graphics card is also a PCIe 5.0x8 graphics card. The TDP of the 5060 is 145 watts with an also suggested power supply of 300 watts. I will say the suggested power supply from Tech PowerUp, where we're reading these specs from, is definitely very low, and I kind of like that because you really could get away with that wattage if you wanted to. But most of these boxes actually tell you a bigger power supply. I think this one says 550, which I think is, I mean, what most people would probably do with a graphics card like this, but don't need to. And also it only needs an 8-pin for power. Both of these don't use ATX 3.0 connectors. They use normal 8 pins for power, but really, what is the difference? Let's talk about our test bench that we're gonna be testing these in. We're using more of a mid-range style test bench with a Ryzen 7 7700X, and when we have those specs, we're allowed to test both of these GPUs that are more budget with a proper CPU so you get real-world results. Let's talk about that test bench and dive into testing.
To go over the specs of the test bench, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X that is an 8-core 16-thread with a large tower cooler cooling it. We also have 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM at 6000 MHz in dual channel. This test bench is packed with storage as well with a 4TB Lexar Gen 4 NVMe SSD. We have an Asus ROG Strix B650 Wi-Fi motherboard. We have a 1200 watt 80 plus gold fully modular power supply, all inside of a pretty high airflow full ATX case. So now that we've talked about the test bench, we've talked about both of our graphics cards, it is time to do some gaming, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's game!
Alright, we're testing out the RTX 5050 with its 8 gigs of VRAM. We're playing some Doom in the typical spot that we've been in. And currently we're just doing 1080p because this is not a 1440p card. We are running just a medium preset, and we do have path tracing turned off because although this is an RTX card, I wouldn't really run any ray tracing unless it's like a really low-end game, in all honesty.
As you see, we're only getting about 40, and this is native, by the way, which obviously the 5050, I feel like you're gonna be pretty heavily relying on DLSS on some of these newer titles, which we'll try here.
Yeah, let's try it out. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, it's funny to see though, because what was the last? It was an RX 7600 we did, and I think it was worse than this, which is pretty funny.
Yes.
But it just goes to show that newer cards, can be pretty decent.
Where is upscaling in this game?
Oh, yeah, upscaling. I was like, what am I doing
there
here?
There we go. Yeah, from DLSS.
Let's try performance. Sorry, DLSS performance. Try doing frame gen.
Yeah, times 2.
Just for fun.
Let's see what we can get.
It has it.
Obviously,
It has
NVIDIA's marketing will definitely be heavy on this working, but also DLSS and FrameGen with this card, because you know what, when you don't have a ton of performance, using their upscaling is what they always market. So let's see what we can get. Oh wow,
The game definitely looks...
it looks blurry.
Yeah, it definitely looks
But
worse
it's
like
significantly
this.
smoother.
Look at the response time.
The response time is just broken.
It's like bye-bye. Yeah, this is definitely like a lot more playable, but Doom is a very good looking game, and I will say this kind of like takes away from like most of the good looks.
But
So,
it's playable.
It is.
I
It is
mean,
very
yeah.
playable. I would say even before, I would argue it was, I mean, not like a super great experience, but it was playable, just like a 50 FPS playable. So it is interesting to see that, you know, NVIDIA's like absolute cheapest entry-level card, you know, can play what's considered to be a very hard-to-run title. But at this point, we got to test out the 5060 because we don't really know just how much better it's actually going to be in something like this. So we are now on the RTX 5060, playing Doom again with no upscaling, and I mean, it looks a lot better. It's kind
Yeah.
of insane.
Yeah, it was, I think we're getting like 48, 45 FPS before. Now we're up to 70, which, again, at the time of recording this video, the real thing is the price difference between these two models of cards. We're looking at $30, which
Yeah, that's crazy.
you're almost getting double your FPS.
Yeah, we'll just try for fun. I mean, this is already like a pretty clean sweep, but we'll try upscaling again. DLSS performance.
That was it, yep.
ARG.
Now, this one should be even better. I mean, oh yeah, we're getting 170 FPS.
And it actually like, well, it actually the quality's still about like just as bad
Yeah.
as when we did it before, but yeah, the FPS is like just insanely better, and it feels a lot smoother. So I think it's gonna be something we're gonna see like across the board. So it's not necessarily saying that like, the thing about the 5060s, people already think it's expensive and overpriced, so that can definitely be said about the 5050 at this price too. So if one of or both of them come down in price, either way would be nice to see.
The 5060 is like, thank you for taking the punches for me, 5050. That's what you're here for.
Exactly. Maybe that's the reason NVIDIA did it.
They felt bad for the 5060.
Yeah, because this is making the 5060 look real good, isn't it?
Next game. We're really stressing the 5050 here, but when NVIDIA released a graphics card that says RTX in it, we gotta try ray tracing. So currently we're running the following settings. We're currently at 1080p, no upscaling, which we will try upscaling because again, I think upscaling is gonna help us a ton. On the high preset with high ray tracing. Again, high is low in this game. So let's see what we can do. Honestly, it's doing a little better than I expected. I mean, it is 30 FPS, 30 to 40 FPS, and our GPU is not super maxed out. Every time we test this game with like a, let's say, respectable CPU like the 7700X, we are still a little limited by it because of this game just really liking super fast CPUs, but we are still definitely limited by this GPU. And I think both GPUs are going to struggle with these settings. The 5060 with 8 gigs of VRAM does struggle with these settings as well, but pretty comfortably 40 FPS, 30 to 40 FPS, but when you're not swinging around, it goes all the way up to 50. Wow. But
It's like interesting. I feel like it looks very clear.
it does look really clear. It looks really good. Also, we did just upgrade to a mini LED monitor, so maybe that's the reason
Oh,
why.
I forgot. Yeah, we're using that. I was like, wait, man, this just
This looks so good for such low settings. Yeah, guys, we're using mini LED, so everything's gonna look good
we
from
like
now on.
we like just upgraded it, and I kind of already forgot. I was like, the FPS isn't good, but
That
it looks clean.
Looks amazing. I love that. But we're going to go ahead and turn on some upscaling because we want some help here. We're going to need all the help we can get. DLSS Transformer will do performance like Jackson did in Dark Ages, and we'll put on FrameGen. Let's do ×2 FrameGen.
Yeah, I
Might
feel
as
like
well.
this needs it because I feel like every time we always do DLSS and Spider-Man, and we only get like 10 more FPS. We need a little more than that.
Yeah, let's try some FrameGen, except, oh wow.
Oh, heck
wow.
yeah, bro.
Hell yeah, that's FrameGen right there, baby.
That's crazy.
That made a massive difference.
And it still looks pretty good.
It doesn't look horrible. Now, it is important to mention, what is going on here? Something feels weird swinging around. There's like some input lag or something.
Could be.
Could be a little input lag. It feels a little bit, but again, I don't have any scientific data to back this up. It does feel a little laggy, but one thing to mention is this game does run with FrameGen and upscaling on the console that it came from, the PS5. So it is designed with FrameGen in mind, so when you don't run FrameGen, it has some issues. So 100 FPS, major difference. And yeah, I mean, as long as you have a mini LED monitor through 5050, I mean, you're good. You're
Still
just,
great.
You're absolutely good. So let's stop these robbers right here who are trying to break in. Don't you think about breaking in right now. But yeah,
Robbers.
again, there's no doubting NVIDIA's feature set. It's really good. It's just really in this video, how does this compare to the 5060, which in this comparison is only a $30 difference at the time of recording this video. We'll see. Again, we haven't tested the 5060 yet. We'll see it here in just a bit. We'll have to see if the difference is worth it.
Boom.
Are you saving $30, and is that worth it? Oh, this is dangerous. Can I just... Oh, goodbye.
He'll be okay, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man's not about killing. That person is definitely... Oh, I gotta take you to an ambulance? Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, no, this is definitely playable. I would play this whole game with frame gen, have no problems. If it's a multiplayer title, then I probably start having some issues. But a game like this, I think it's fine. I think it's perfectly fine. So, hey, that was cool to see. Frame gen saving the day. People hate frame gen. Again, it's kind of a mixed bag, but can't deny that it actually makes this a more playable experience. Let's see what the 5060 can do with the same settings. Okay, guys, we are now on the 5060, currently running Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, no upscaling, high settings, high ray tracing across the board. And yeah, we are gonna see what kind of FPS we can get. Before we were in the 30s.
It's 30.
This is better. Oh, it's better, but it is still not amazing. As I mentioned, we were on the 5050. I was gonna say these settings are even aggressive for the 5060 without upscaling. But as we learned with the 5050, a little DLSS and a little bit of frame gen will go a long way with this graphics card. Any of these 50 series graphics cards, especially in games that were built with frame gen in mind. So let's just land up here real quick and not waste any time. We can all do it mid-air, might as well.
Say honestly, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't much better. It was like what, like maybe 10 FPS.
Yeah, it wasn't much better. So we're definitely limited still when it comes to ray tracing for both of these cards, which are entry-level GPUs. $300, you know, right? But we'll go ahead and turn on some DLSS set to quality, and we'll run some frame gen on 2.
I think another interesting point about this card is that it, you know, we've seen what 120 watts, I think, max.
Yes.
They're all going to have external power,
Yep.
which this is a good amount better than the 3056 gig. But let's be honest, 3056 gig, we had low profile, we had low power consumption, we didn't external power. So, and the price point of $179, with this card being what, $100 more basically.
Yeah, basically.
It's in a weird spot in the market.
Yeah, it's a very weird spot, and now that we're running, quality, this is quality DLSS, and we're getting 100 plus FPS. Before we were running performance, and we could actually tell, I'll turn on performance just so we get a clear side-by-side, but I mean, we're getting 100 plus FPS. This looks good. It's running good settings. I mean, 5060 is just making this thing look way better. But even then, like I will say, if you are team frame gen, you can run the 5050 in pretty much anything that has frame gen and get good results. Just for sanity, so you guys don't be like, well, you didn't show the right DLSS setting. Let's go to performance, just like we were on the other one.
And it's good.
Yeah, it's good. You do see the blurriness much more on performance, but that's what quality's there for. And with frame gen, I think it is incredibly playable. And I don't think I'm really feeling, again, I'm not gonna say definitively that I was dealing with input lag on the last one because it could have just been totally random, but this does feel smoother. But again, take that with a grain of salt. I didn't do any specific testing.
LED.
It's just mini LED. It's just mini LED.
It's delayed, dude. I love these gymnastics.
Yeah,
hit it, Spooter.
Spooderman's just killing it. But yeah, without upscaling, probably about 10 FPS improvement. We're getting dips into the 40s still. But with it, still a great experience, and you could go
big improvements.
Quality on DLSS and have a very, very good experience. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, we are testing out Benchmarkist. It's Oblivion Elder Scrolls Remastered, running a low settings 1080p, just using FXAA anti-aliasing, not upscaling. We're not using any upscaling yet because figured you guys should probably see both. This is once again one of those AAA titles where, like, even with a 5080 at home, I still will use upscaling, honestly.
Yep.
It's not an easy to run game.
Yep. Any of these like single player games, again, it's up to you at home to decide that's what you want to do. But for us, we're always going to run some sort of upscaling, even at 1440p, even if it's just DLSS. It makes a pretty big difference. But I mean, it says low settings. Game still looks solid.
Yeah, surprisingly. I mean, there's like some like loading chunks here and there, but you get that on most hardware. And then we were looking at like 60 FPS, but it's getting a little
better. Just the frame times are a little all over the place.
Yeah, you can definitely feel some chunking too.
Ooh.
We'll talk to oh gosh.
And even then, yes, just to note too, our CPU is actually really trying to load stuff in as well. So some of that stutter may go away. And also textures are struggling to load in.
Yeah. but they're coming. They're coming. Just give them a minute.
There you go. Our CPU is now ramped down, so this should be all GPU, baby. Yeah, but hold 60 FPS. I mean, that's fine for this game. I mean, that's what you're looking for. I mean, it is low settings 1080p, which feels pretty outdated when you think about it. But you know what?
Boys.
If this GPU was closer to $200, it'd be nice.
Yes, but you guys know what we got to try. We got to try out a little bit of. Oh yeah, and I forgot too. We technically do. I mean, it's like forced ray tracing.
Yep.
So we do have a little bit of software ray tracing on. All right, let's try DLSS. Try balance. Have some frame gen on.
Yes.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy. This game responds very well to DLSS and frame gen.
Yep. 140.
Yeah. And it feels good too. Like it's smooth. Doesn't look any worse really either. So I mean, this is definitely the way to go. So I mean, so far it just seems like the 50-50. Just slightly not as good as the 5060. How much, we'll kind of have concluded at the end, but there's definitely a difference. Just doesn't seem like it's absolutely wonkers so far, but for $30, it's pretty crazy.
All right, let's see what the 5060 can do in this and move on to the next game.
All right, we're on the 5060, RTX 5060. We've loaded up our old boy Benchmarkus again, and we're running the same settings, but I got to prove it to myself and to you guys, because you never know. So low settings, no upscaling. Of course, we get the software ray tracing. Already looking a lot better. I will say at first, it did not. You guys didn't get to see it, but when it loaded in, I feel like we need to give it a little longer sometimes, because we were getting like 40, 50 FPS, and I was like, oh my gosh, is this like, is this all a lie? But this looks a lot better.
Yeah, getting 90 to 100 without any upscaling before we're getting about 50. So again, we kind of see it in some games, that like 30 to 40 FPS jump, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's enough to make like, normally when we see like $50 to $100, we don't expect much. We're like, yeah, you might get like 10 more FPS, going from like a normal to a super card, but for $30, this is some good bang for buck improvement. And like I said, it makes the 5060 look really good.
Maybe that was NVIDIA's entire goal, is to sell more 5060s by releasing a card that, would just push people to the 5060.
Now, I will say too, one thing that I can totally see happening is like MSRPs are always usually high. We've noticed a trend where graphics cards, they have been steadily coming down. I don't think I've seen a card that is released at MSRP recently and then gone up afterwards. So I could see this card maybe coming closer to that $200 price point, which at that rate, I do think the 5050 could have a chance.
Yeah, it really needs to be almost like $70 to $80 less for it to be worth it.
Yeah, I think 80. I'd be really happy with that, especially considering it'd be NVIDIA's cheapest entry-level card at that point.
Yep.
But right now, it just like it is, but it doesn't feel like it is. All right, so I think we do quality. This should all be the same. Are you guys ready for this? We're gonna unleash the frames.
160.
All right. You know what's funny is I think before, what did we get? Was it like 120 to 130? I'm having trouble remembering. Or was it?
We're getting about 140.
I mean, okay.
So it's pretty close to frame gen.
50-50 frame gen's pretty impressive. We were getting more like 160 to 170, but it just goes to show NVIDIA, like Matt was saying, it's hard to deny/ignore their skill set of like DLSS and frame gen and stuff like that. Even though a lot of you guys just hate all of the upscaling stuff, it's hard to ignore it.
Yeah, so Oblivion looking like the 5060 is a good jump, pretty big jump without upscaling. Let's move on to the last game. All right, guys, we are testing Fortnite next. We're currently running the following settings: 1080p, unlimited frame rate, DX12, far view distance, and low textures. The usual. We're going to go to the Foxy floodgates. Reason we're testing Fortnite is I feel like if you're in the market for a 50-50 level GPU, you're going to be playing esports titles, which we will be testing more during our side-by-side benchmarks at the end of the video. But this would be a good test to see if you're actually going to get more FPS with the 5060 versus the 5050 in a game that realistically is much more CPU bound than it is GPU bound.
That's crazy. Shoot, it's definitely pushing the GPU at times.
Yeah, it still pushes the GPU running DX12. If we ran performance mode, we'd probably be very, very CPU reliant, but since we actually are running DX12, we will use a good amount of that GPU. I am getting pushed away. No one's over
Where
there.
is the there's someone right there.
We're gonna have a lot of shields. We're swimming. Oh!
The two pump.
What is with people in this game? They're just too good with these benchmarks, bro. I'm just too bot-like. But it's good performance. It's just really, will there be a difference between the 5050 and 5060? I mean, for $30 more, you might as well get the 5060 for all the other games. But if you're just playing Fortnite, maybe $30 is worth saving. Take-Two, it's probably not going to go any better, I'll be honest with you. But I'm going to give you all consistent data. Or something to survive, please. Spider-Man, I just played your game. Yeah, now that I killed the one person, yay, I can look around here and pretty comfortably say about 260 to 280. I mean, sometimes 290, but I would say a pretty good average of 265 to 270 FPS. Sky test.
Whoa.
340. Well, that's a lot of FPS. Again, this game is very CPU bound, but just want to go ahead and show you guys what this looks like in Fortnite. So do the 5060 and see if there is a difference at all. All right, guys, we're wrapping up our testing with Fortnite on the 5060 with Foxy Floodgate again. Just to confirm, once again, same settings, far read distance, low textures, across the board, a little reflex action. We're gonna land here and see if we see a difference. Before we're getting about 260 to sometimes 300 FPS. Will we stay in the upper 300s or will we still be around 200? We'll have to find out once we land. And will I die instantly? Probably. I'm just not gonna yap. I'm just gonna let you all see it because you all saw what happened before and you've seen what's been going on so far throughout this video. Will the 5060 be a difference here? I'm gonna guess not. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be pretty dang close to the same.
What the heck? They're blooping and looping. That was a big hit already, 47. Oh, they know. They have no respect for you.
I wouldn't have respect for me currently, based on how these shots are not hitting.
Yeah, we'll have to see side by side and like response times, because I don't, yeah, we're hitting 300s now, so I think it's a little better.
Yeah, I think it's a little better. Even times, yeah, we're hitting 300s, but we're definitely staying in the upper 200s, so I think it's, again, like, we're at such high FPS already. Is it gonna make a major difference? I don't know.
Fortnite's a game for me where, like, much like other competitive games, I think that the response time is just as, if not more important than FPS. Because, like, once you're over 144, it's like very, very negligible results. But I think changing from like 7 milliseconds down to like 2 or 3 like this, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, so 200 plus FPS, I didn't die the first time, so that means the 5060 is automatically better, right, guys?
Goated.
Automatically goated. Oh!
This is like the Deadpool Wolverine fight. Oh my goodness.
What the?
He turned into an eagle.
Ah!
Heck yeah, that's crazy.
Fortnite's different, bro. I will say, is there an improvement? Yeah, I'd say there is a bit of an improvement with the 5060. Is it one that I would really care too much about? No, but based on all the other benchmarks we've seen throughout this video, I think it's pretty clear to see that the 5050 needs a price cut if it's gonna be more competitive versus the 5060. But we'll do some side-by-side benchmarks and wrap this video up real quick because, well, it was good to see what the 5050 is all about, and it's gonna need some work if it's gonna be a good option. Whoa, run, oh God! I almost blew up. Let's run those benchmarks. Okay guys, now that we had some fun with some Let's Play benchmarks testing the 5060 versus the 5050, let's do some side-by-side benchmarks to really push these cards to the limit and see what kind of performance we can get to see, is it worth saving the $30? Well, so far you guys are probably getting the consensus that no, it is most certainly not, but we continue with these benchmarks in the following games. We played Marvel Rivals, CS2, Rainbow Six X, Cyberpunk, and ran 3D Mark Time Spy for the GPU score. Now first up in Marvel Rivals at 1080p medium settings with no upscaling, the RTX 5050 got an average of 84 FPS with a 1% low of 60, while the 5060 jumped all over it and got an average of 106 FPS with a 1% low of 71. There's a pretty big jump for the native settings in a game like Marvel Rivals, but once again, just like we saw throughout the video, we run some upscaling and DLSS. You'll get 100 plus FPS on the 5050, but when the 5060 is that much better, it's also going to get 20 to 30 more FPS with the same upscaling. So 5060 looking like a good value compared to the 5050. Next up, CS2, 1080p low settings with no upscaling. The 5050 got an average of 540.7 FPS with a 1% low of 177.6, while the 5060 got an average of 601 FPS with a 1% low of 185. An improvement, yes, but we're talking about high 500s versus 600 FPS. Will people really matter? To be honest, no, the CPU is much more important in a game like CS2, but we decided to test it to show you guys that there is a difference in esports titles. Next up, Rainbow Six X at 1080p medium settings. The 5050 got an average of 363 FPS with a minimum of 236 and a max of 431 versus an average of 389 FPS with the 5060 with a minimum of 282 and a max of 455. Not a major difference here, only about 20 frames give or take. So again, there is a difference, but we're talking about 300 plus FPS. It might be worth saving your money. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's not really worth saving your money. We're talking about $30 here. Spend the extra $30 on the 5060 if you're actually debating between these two GPUs. And lastly, just for the fun of it, we tested Cyberpunk twice, once at 1080p and then once at 1440p. And first up at 1080p with the 5050 on high settings with no upscaling, we got an average of 91 FPS with a minimum of 77 and a max of 109 versus the 5060, which got an average of 154 FPS with a minimum of 122 and a max of 188. Now at 1440p, the 5050 got an average of 57 FPS with a minimum of 50 and a max of 68, while the 5060 got an average of 77 FPS, the minimum of 67 and a max of 91. That's a lot of numbers to show that the 5050 does fall behind the 5060 by a decent amount, and at its current price point of only a $30 difference, it most certainly does not make sense to get the 5050. I just hope Nvidia drops this card down to $200 at some point, making it more viable, or Nvidia's whole point here was to release the 5050 to make the 5060 look more appealing, which it most certainly does. But we're not done yet. The last thing we're going to be testing is our 3D Mark score, which on the 5050 we got a score of 10,235, which is our GPU score on the 3D Mark test, which ends up being a 3 cent per point in terms of price to performance. And then the 5060 ended up with a score of 13,920, which is a 2 cent per point score in terms of price to performance. Well, let's do a little bit of a debrief, bring Jackson back in here and talk about the 5050 and what we'd like to see to make it actually a good budget GPU, because right now it's not looking too hot. Let's bring him back in here and wrap this video up real quick.
Well, that was a lot of benchmarking, but I gotta say, the 5060, it's just obviously the clear winner here. I mean, 30 bucks more and you're getting like 30 to 40 more FPS in quite a few games. It's a pretty insane difference. Not to mention, if you ever want to start streaming or doing content creation, just having the extra overhead with the 5060 would be nice. And I gotta say, I think the 5060, at 300 bucks is actually like a pretty good choice, because yeah, you can go with the 9060 XT 8 gig. You're only gonna get about 3 to 5% more performance. So either one of those cards would be a good choice over the 5050.
I think really the 5050 came to market to make the 5060 look better. I feel like we said that many times, and NVIDIA might be pushing sales for the 5060 for those who are maybe thinking about the 5050. You know what, NVIDIA, if you did it, it definitely worked. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the RTX 5050? What price should it be for you all to actually want to buy it? Don't be unrealistic and be like, it should be a $50 GPU. Give us or a free graphics card. Give us a real price down below that you think would make the 5050 competitive. And if you want to buy any of the graphics cards mentioned in today's video, links in the description down below will be affiliate links. They will help us out.
But as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Now, these GPUs are ones that we will use at PCBros.tech, so make sure you guys check out the website to buy a cool gaming PC today.
If you don't want to worry about finding the perfect graphics card for your next PC build and you just want one ready to go with a good warranty and customer support, PCBros.tech. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% on your next purchase. See you guys later. Bye-bye.